Lydia, before we jump into the questions, if they are a current TRICARE provider, they have to reapply in order to be covered by TriWest, correct?
Yes, your contract with Health Federal Services is not going to transfer over.
Okay,
we
and
were.
there are some new stipulations and qualifications in this new project.
Yeah, TriWest is going to require a couple other documents than you may have been required to before.
Welcome to the Birth Education Center podcast, hosted by myself, Care Messer, an entrepreneur, birth educator, and doula. My team and I want to help you discover your options in birth and postpartum, how to find your voice, and how to use that voice to navigate our maternal healthcare system. You and your baby are not just a number. This information includes doulas too. Now let's get started. Okay, we have a lot of information in this episode for you. This is how to become a military doula. Basically, if you are wanting to serve military families across the United States and hopefully across the world, because TRICARE might be expanding the coverage for our military families, Lydia has been doing the backbreaking work of trying to figure out this new TriWest scenario now that TRICARE has divided up their services according to state lines. So we're going to try and cover everything we need to answer all your questions in this episode. We will be following up with your questions in another video. And also if there are any additions and changes as we move forward for 2025, we will put that in the next video. So be sure to subscribe to our channel so you do not miss that. Lydia, can you just tell us who you are first and we'll start there?
Yeah, I'm a doula in San Diego, and I'm a former military spouse. So I've dealt with TRICARE on both the patient side and now the doula side. And I have been working with them really not that long, but long enough to be able to get the changes from them and kind of get in with the system and know how to navigate all of the crazy miscommunications that they have right now.
It's a little crazy. And you're billing and getting money. So you've got street cred with me just for that, because military systems are so fun. When you look at the new TRICARE, the states that are covered, I'm going to put the little graphic on so you can see it: Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Idaho. I feel like I'm singing that song from grade school. Iowa, except Rock Island Arsenal area. Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, except the St. Louis area. Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, North Dakota, Oregon, South Dakota, Texas, Amarillo, Lubbock, and El Paso areas only. Utah, Washington, and Wyoming. Oh my gosh. So this is our expansion, and it may be bigger eventually. Let's hope we get Japan and all of those covered as well. Germany, where we've got bases. At the end, we will cover all the documents that you need and all of that kind of stuff. What our goal is with this episode is to help you get your paperwork and everything in order ahead of time, so that as you turn it in and you move into TriWest to be able to bill, etc., you're going to understand the process and hopefully your paperwork won't get rejected, because we want to streamline this so that you can serve military families and get money in your pocket as soon as possible, because we know how there can be delays. Good thing is the new contract looks like it's a shorter time frame to get you paid, which is awesome. And Lydia, when I ask you these questions, if something else comes up in the middle of me talking or whatever, go ahead and put your 2 cents worth in. I'm definitely going to ask you for some clarifying ones as we go, because there's so many questions that come up when it comes to military stuff. So I'm going to kind of be the listener on the outside that doesn't know everything. So I may ask you some questions that you're like, duh, but I don't know. So that's what we're going to cover today. And Lydia, before we jump into the questions, if they are a current TRICARE provider, they have to reapply in order to be covered by TriWest, correct?
Yes, your contract with Health Federal Services is not going to transfer over.
Okay,
we
and
were.
there are some new stipulations and qualifications in this new project.
Yeah, TriWest is going to require a couple other documents than you may have been required to before.
Okay, so Lydia, why don't you cover first what is covered as a benefit for military families as far as doula services goes?
They get 6 hours prenatally or postpartum, and then the duration of the birth. The coverage does not include military treatment facilities, so locally Balboa or Camp Pendleton. And if you're going to do a home birth, your midwife has to be in network with TRICARE for the doulas to be paid.
Okay, so if you get 6 hours, you could do 2 or 3 prenatal visits if you wanted,
Yes.
the full length of the birth, and then 1 postpartum visit?
If you're doing 2 prenatally, you can use the other 4 postpartum. So it's just 6 total, however you choose to split it up. So I do 4 prenatally typically, and then I have 2 left postpartum.
Okay, and since they're 15-minute increments, you're doing 2-hour visits?
Yes, you can do it that way. You could even so previously it used to be just hours and or visits total, and you weren't getting paid per increment. So they've kind of changed that. So if you want to do a longer prenatal, then you can do that. And it's timed now. So you can hopefully be compensated for that versus the 6 visits could be 3 visits if, they were 2 hours apiece.
And these visits have to be in person, right? There's no Zoom, like, telehealth visits covered?
Yeah, it has to be in person. You can do that in their home or you can do it, out in public, but it just has to be in person.
So let's cover every state is gonna be different with what is covered in your area, but let's cover what the birth fees are. You can do San Diego if you want to use it as an example. What are the San Diego, birth doula fees that are covered?
So for San Diego right now, the birth fee is $1,000, $1,036.89. And then per 15-minute increment is $29.09 for the prenatal or postpartum, depending on.
And we are gonna cover billing in a little bit, but when you are billing for that prenatal, if it's 2 hours, that's 4 increments at 29.09
Yes, 4
is what you're
units,
billing
yes.
for, okay. And then since you are an independent contractor, this is for the newer doulas, they're not taking taxes out. So my advice for all doulas, especially new doulas, is every check you get, take out 20 or 30%. Like right off the top, put it in a savings account. Do not touch that because if you need it for taxes, it's now reserved. If you don't need it for taxes and you're getting a good tax refund, great. You've got extra cash to do what you need to do with. But if you don't have that extra cash, you're going to be caught with that stupid tax bill. So just be disciplined right from the beginning and separate that money. That's my advice because I've learned the hard way. And thinking, oh no, I'll totally get a refund this year. And then, oh gosh, here's my bill. So I would not wish that on any doula. Just business wise, make sure when you're an independent contractor that you are taking that right off the top so you don't even think about it because the government always gets their money. That's how it works. Now, Lydia, can you cover which doula organizations are covered by TRICARE?
Yeah, so right now it's DONA, Birthworks International, Kappa, National Black Doulas Association, 2 Labor. And they are also accepting if you are in with your state's program. So for California, it's Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal meets the requirements for what TRICARE wants. They're trusting Medi-Cal and their requirements to be in with TRICARE. So you can submit your Medi-Cal acceptance here. It's called a PAVE portal. Once you get through the PAVE portal, you can submit that instead of a certification, whether you want to actually take Medi-Cal or not.
Okay, good to know because some people don't have the qualifications of training with those organizations. So get in with your state, then you can be taking families from both programs, which is awesome. Just expand your services if you can do that. So there are 2 kinds of doulas. There are in-network doulas and out-of-network doulas. Can you give us the advantages or disadvantages of both of those?
So I'm in network, so I don't take a referral. With TRICARE, there's 2 different plans they can select, TRICARE Select or TRICARE Prime, and the difference is one's an HMO and one's a PPO, um, in civilian terms. And so with Prime, they will know that they have to have referrals. They'll probably ask you how they get a referral. Their PCM, their primary doctor, has to put a referral in for doulas if you're non-net and they're on Prime.
And so
So
is that
with
it's just more hassle, right?
Yes, and the provider asks for different requirements. When I was doing it, I just did my name, my address, my phone number, and my NPI number, and that usually got it through. But you also have to make sure they're staying on top of that because the doctor will say, "Oh, yeah, I'll put the referral in," and then you may not get the referral. So it's kind of a hassle. It's a little bit frustrating to have to be on your client and then your client be on the doctor in order for us to be paid. So with in-network, you don't have to do that. I can take Prime or Select, and I don't have to have the referral at all.
So it's easier to jump through the hoops ahead of time, to save time, save money, and make sure you got the referral. Otherwise, you're not helping this family for money.
Right, and you can do the referral retroactively, but that's a pain in the butt on its own because then you're having to ask a postpartum mom to handle that, so it's really important to get that in ahead of time. Previously with TRICARE, non-net and in-net, the differences were non-net you could charge out of pocket. They are doing away with that altogether for in-network and not network. You have to sign the same provider agreement. So money's no longer going to be able to be taken out of pocket. So the difference or the advantage you would have had previously is going to be moot now anyway. So it's really not worth the hassle anymore of being non-net, in my opinion.
So if you were charging 2,400 or something for your doula services, that's no longer a thing.
Yes, because you can't take any money out of pocket. You're gonna be doing all the billing yourself, so your rate is gonna have to be whatever TRICARE pays for your area.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, that just get a network.
It's not
Yeah,
worth it.
like network seems like the way to go for all things TRICARE now, just to save time and money.
Yeah, unless I'm missing something, I don't think I am, but unless there's some big rainbow for non-networks, see.
Well, we know that's not the case.
Yeah,
So
I don't think so.
not. Okay, so what do doulas need from families then in order to provide services?
You'll just need to get a copy, or a photo of their military ID because it has their benefits number on that, and that's what you use to find them, and then their birthday, which is also on the ID.
Okay, and that's what you start the paperwork with.
Yes, I get that at my first prenatal appointment with them, and you use that to bill. It'll be on the form, just there in the current portal, you put that in first thing. You put their DOD number, and it actually pulls up their name, their address, everything. You just need their birthday and their number.
Okay. Okay, we're just going to briefly tackle how do you bill TRICARE for services? Because that can be a whole thing. We'll come back to that if we need to do that in a next video because the new system starts January 1st. So with the current system, how are you billing right now with TRICARE?
So when you go in with TRICARE, they give you a provider portal login. Um, if you go in network, they walk you through it. Out of network, they do not. They should have given you a login whenever you signed up with them. You may have to contact to get that again. And then you will go in, you submit their DOD number, it pulls up all their information and it walks you through. And then you have the codes. You have to put the code in, the amount, and then it will at the end, the last part, it says, because this is still a childbirth demonstration, you have to put, it'll ask a question and you just put childbirth demonstration in. And that's the very basic rundown of how that works.
And you can't bill for any parents that you see previous to 20 weeks. You cannot bill for that time.
Yes, so they have to be 20 weeks. Your first prenatal cannot be prior to 20 weeks if you're wanting to be paid for that.
Okay. And do you bill per session? Do you bill at the very end of the birth? Like, how are we getting checks from TRICARE?
I bill all at one time. I have a spreadsheet and I put each of my prenatals when I meet with them, the date, and then I put how long it lasted, and then I put the birth and I bill after the birth, and then I'll go in after if I do a postpartum appointment and I'll do that at the end. You should bill per appointment going forward. You should bill after your prenatal, go in, you bill, even if, if you're seeing several people in a week, do it at the end of the week, but as soon as you can, go in, bill for the prenatal. And then I suggest making a spreadsheet or some kind of documentation. Put it on your spreadsheet when you made the claim, the date you made the claim, and then when you get the money back, the day you were paid for it. And then it will have the claim number on there or the check number. You can go in and do that.
Yeah, staying organized because you will miss things.
Yeah, and they don't tell you, they don't send an email confirmation saying anything. They don't send you anything saying you're paid. You just log into your bank account and the money is there. So you also have to keep track of if you're doing multiple claims at a time. You need to go into your portal and see which client that claim was for. They will also pay you if, for example, if you did 2 births in a month and you went in and billed those both at the same time, you can get paid for both of those at the same time occasionally. So you have to really keep track of who the money was for, your claim-wise.
And so if you're billing per session, so I have 3 clients I'm billing, I did 3 prenatals this week or whatever, I bill all at one time, then the money is continually coming in. It's my job to keep track of it on a spreadsheet so I know what I've been paid for, what I haven't, in case I have to go back to claim that again and say, hey, I turned it in on, April 2nd and I don't have it yet and it's July.
Yes, you'll have to keep track of. And in the current portal, you can go in and type in their number again, or there is a claims report. You can go and it details all of that, and it kind of creates a spreadsheet for yourself. But I have a spreadsheet per client, and I just kind of add it that way so it's all together.
And one thing we are going to do for you guys is I'm going to put all of this into the blog where I keep a copy of the podcast. So all of the documentation that you're going to need for TriWest, as well as the spreadsheets and the rates and all of that, I'm going to have all of those in PDF form so that you can look at everything. So it's all in one place. Can we get a copy maybe of your spreadsheet, like an example, so that they know how to set that up?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, that would be great. So tell me about the codes, because they used to be CPT codes, which is National Medical Codes, trademarked, but they're calling them T codes now. And then there's modifiers. I know there's Z modifiers to kind of clarify. So what are the T codes? And we will have that listed on the thing, but tell us what T codes are. Are they just CPT codes, but
Yes.
military for TRICARE? That's why they're calling them T codes.
Yeah, I actually think Medi-Cal's adopting them as well. From what I understand is doula coverage is a new thing. They're trying to standardize all of the codes, so that way it's similar to the CPT where it's all just the same thing. I'm not sure how that's getting streamlined, but that's the impression I've been given. So the Z code is going to be your procedure code, and that is either birth, prenatal, or postpartum for doulas. They're all prenatal and postpartum are going to be the same Z code or T code. Sorry, they used to be their T codes. They are going to be the same T code for prenatal, postpartum, and then you'll have a separate one for birth. So we really only work with 2 T codes. And then the Z modifier comes in with the week you saw them, the birth that it is, if it's a single baby, if it's twins, if it's more than that, you will add a modifier to that. They
So
have
the Z modifier is just a detail oriented code that
yeah,
clarifies it's a postnatal visit for a twin mom, whatever.
yes. Yes. And then, like I said, they have a postpartum one. So I've not billed for twin births before, so I just have a single birth. It's Z37.0. And then there's like Z37.2. So you have to really pay attention to which Z modifier you're using and make sure that it matches up.
Yeah, and I have a list of those, and I was like, okay, what am I? How am I using these?
Yeah.
So I'll provide that also in the blog on the website, so that you guys will have those.
Yeah. So the form you fill out is the Z code, the location you were at, so hospital, home, and then the Z modifier. You will type in the top bar, at least currently, you type it in the top, and then it will have like a number 1. So if your number 1 is 1 Z 37.0, you'll go put number 1 on the form. And I can go into all of that if we do a billing video. That's just a basic, so it kind of makes a little more sense
Okay, yeah,
visually.
we're gonna do a billing video.
Yeah, because it's hard.
Everyone come back for that, because it's
Yeah.
just it's detail oriented. Like,
Yeah,
that's all it is, and you
you
can do
can.
it, and don't be intimidated by it.
Mhm.
You're getting money, you're helping military families. Let's just figure out the system, because it's
Yeah.
not rocket science. If we bill for medical stuff all the time with CPT codes, we can do this.
It's just overwhelming. It's a lot, but once you get it, it's not as bad. It's just the first couple are a little bit daunting.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of getting organized so that you're confident in it, right? What did Jenny say? It's not that you're incapable, it's just that it's unfamiliar. You
Yep,
can do this,
exactly.
just like labor. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly like that. So moving forward as of January 1st, there's no money out of pocket.
No, so even for parents who are wanting to hire TRICARE doulas, they need to clarify this question because there are doulas who are still taking clients who are still taking money out of pocket. Doulas, you will not be able to be reimbursed with a super bill any longer because your doula has to have signed that provider agreement as of January 1st. So December 31st, all the previous contracts are voided. So if a doula has,
Wow. And if they don't know that and they've been taking all through the holidays or whatever, people out of pocket,
yes,
then those parents are either not going to have a doula because they're not going to get their money back, right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I've heard from people locally, when I get people inquiring, they will say, "Oh, well, this doula told me this," which that was, if you're non-net, that was how it was. You could take money out of pocket, you could charge as much as you wanted, and then they would be reimbursed the specific TRICARE rate, whatever that was allowable at the time. But doulas weren't being transparent about the fact that they were charging more than TRICARE's rate, and clients were only getting paid TRICARE's rate. So then TRICARE did away with that, and that's why every doula now has to sign a provider agreement and cannot take money out of pocket. I do believe you can negotiate a refundable deposit. It can't be an exorbitant amount. I want to say like 250 is the max, and that has to be refundable after the birth. So you can, I don't choose to do that because it's not a lot, in the grand scheme of things, but I know that you can negotiate that when you're going with TRICARE, when you're doing your contract.
Wow. So doulas, if you have been taking out of pocket, like really look at that, be honest with your clients, because that would suck for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with, how do you become a TriWest provider? Like, what do I need to come up with to turn into TriWest?
We have this linked. You'll need to submit a demographics form. Again, that will be linked. A W-9, which you can just find a W-9 online. The provider agreement for TriWest will have that linked as well. And then your certifications, you'll need your CPR, you'll need insurance, just liability insurance, and then whatever organization or your PAVE portal acceptance. You submit all of that to start.
And the insurance is a new thing, right?
Yes, so in-network has always had to have insurance. I believe that is a requirement now, whether you're going in or non-net. You'll have to have
So as of January
insurance.
1st, you've got to get some insurance.
Yes. And you have to submit. You'll email all of that. We have the email linked here. The manager's name is Nicole. Nicole has a team, and once you submit that, they will get you in and get your stuff rolling, hopefully fairly quickly.
Okay, so once I turn everything in, then I'm going to get a contract back. Can you go over the details of the contract? Because I know, don't they send a red line contract out?
Yes, I received a red line ready contract. I read through it, made whatever negotiations I wanted to make, and then I submitted that back to them. Told her, it looks good.
And does
Whatever
everyone know
change.
what a red line contract is, guys? It's a DocuSign contract that you can make adjustments with if there's something you don't agree with it. And I will tell you, if you have not fine-tooth combed a contract with the government or with anything military, you need to really go over that and make sure that your rates are correct, that what is acceptable and what's not. So as you're looking through that contract, if it says we're going to pay you 30% less than the actual amount, I would change that to say absolutely not. I wouldn't say absolutely not, but I'd say, no, I want my full amount that is allowable rather than a 30% discount because I'm in network. That's a negotiation, right? Because if you're helping military families, you deserve to be paid the full rate. So there's no reason to have a 30% decrease in your funds. But if you don't catch that in the contract, now you've signed a contract for that. So really look at that contract and decide yes or no for whatever you can and cannot agree to. And that's when you're going to turn that in. And that's where the negotiation is.
Yeah, so they send you that and it's already ready. You just edit it. You go in and it's through Word and it will redline it out for you. Take your time and read through it. It's very overwhelming. It's a lot of legal jargon. Just take your time, read through it. Take a couple days even. Go through it and then you'll submit that back and then you say, everything looks good or these are my edits. My edits are attached. They will send it to their legal team. The legal team will get it back to you. You can negotiate that as much as you need to do. And then once you say everything looks good, they send you a DocuSign. You submit that and it goes straight back to them. And that process really did not take me too long. Prior to this, before you had to fax everything in, and that was a bear in itself. That is no longer the case. You will do it all digitally, and so it's pretty quick once you get going.
And do you think there's anything besides rates, anything else that we should really be looking at as far as editing or what we would need to be looking at for our personal business in the contracts?
From my specific one, there wasn't. Rates was the biggest thing I wanted to pay attention to. All of the rest of it was pretty standard, and I really have limited experience with that. But for my prior contract with TRICARE and the other contracts I've done, it all is pretty much the same. And a lot of it really didn't pertain to me either because doulas are not doing a lot of the things providers are doing. So some of it on there is not doula specific. I just really wanted to pay attention to my rate and I kind of compared it to my previous contract because my previous contract was working just fine for me. So I wanted to make sure it was as close to that as it could be.
Okay, perfect. So how do parents find TriWest providers? If they're in network, you're going to be listed on their website, correct?
Yes, yes.
If you're out of network, how do they find you? Is that word of mouth?
You should also be listed. There's a registry on there. The one currently, I don't believe says in network or out of network. It just, here's a doula, here's their phone number, this is their location. It's kind of the registry currently. I don't know if TriWest is gonna edit and make anything more specific to that or not. And then normally they'll call me and I just explain that I'm in network versus out of network, and that's something I've been doing for clients. That's the free way, is to do that. I have it on my website that I'm a TRICARE provider as well, so Google populates that. And then certain hospitals, the military facilities will give out sometimes a list, although it's not covered there. So that's how I get most of my stuff found. And then, you can, of course, Doula Match has an option for TRICARE. If you use Doula Match, you can go on there and you say, I take TRICARE, so that can be filtered out that way as well. I pay for it's $40 a year for Military Birth Resource Network. They're really great if you're going to take TRICARE clients. They're a really great resource.
Yeah, I'm with
And
them too.
yeah, I'm on their registry, and I do have that I'm a TRICARE provider through there as well, because you can be a member of them and not be a TRICARE provider, but I have that on there, and I think that Balboa gives their stuff, at least their resources, so I get people that way.
So the part that just makes me sad is that military families that are at I say naval base because I'm in San Diego, but at a military base hospital cannot have doula coverage. You can have a
Yes.
doula, but you're paying privately. I
Yes, so
think that just sucks.
it will not be covered, and there's a lot of miscommunication, at least locally, about that, and it's frustrating, and, that's completely understandable, but they can still have a doula. TRICARE just will not cover it, so it will be a cash out of pocket, however that works for you, and that is also on their website that, they're exempt from this at this time. I'm not sure, hopefully they will change that in the future. But I get a lot of confusion about that personally with people inquiring. So just know that. And, even the hospital here will tell them, oh, you can have a doula. And then they come to me and they're like, oh, well, my hospital told me I could have a doula. And I'm like, well, you can. So there is just a lot of miscommunication about that.
And what's the timeline once you get your W-9, your MPI? By the way, MPI number, you've got to have that ahead of time, and it's free. It's a government. It covers your social security number basically and gives you a provider number, and that's what you'll be using on all your documentation. I'll also have that linked in the blog. But once you get all that in and you've gotten your contract in, how long does it take to become a provider?
It took me about a week, and I did this over Thanksgiving. Maybe just
That's not bad.
No,
Wow.
it was not. And my prior contract, I submitted in March, and I did not hear anything back until July. So the payments and everything, it's a lot quicker. It's supposed to go a lot quicker because it is digitally, not fax. I do want to add, I use an EIN. I know not all doulas do the EIN route. You'll have to have that or your social security number to submit as well.
And EIN is what masks your social security number, not
Yes.
MPI. Yeah, duh.
Yeah.
So, and I use an EIN for my business as well, which is also free to get from the government. But yeah, you don't want your social security number floating around through parents' houses and stuff like that if they ever need something like that. EIN is the safety measure for that.
Yeah, I did forget to mention that, but on the referral, you'll put your EIN as well. So if you don't want your social security number out there, the EIN. I believe EIN's free to get as well.
Okay, so Nicole is the current head of all of this. This is her email that we're going to put on this slide. Until you have submitted all your documents, do not email her. Like,
Yes,
she's
she
not going to
really
answer any
wants you to have them.
questions until you have jumped through the hoops and done your due diligence. I'm going to have a list of everything you need on that blog so that you can go through and go, okay, I've got this, I've got the provider agreement, whatever. Get your ducks in a row before, turn all that in, and then wait to hear back. And if you have any questions or whatever, please do that. And is there
I
anything else? Oh, go ahead.
No, just be patient with Nicole and her team. They're also trying to work through this transition as much as we are. I've contacted her and I let her know I was making this video, and hopefully this will be helpful to everybody, including them. And these documents that we're mentioning, told me to have people submit these to make it a little bit easier on them. Just be patient with them because they are doing the best that they can. And it is frustrating that this is having to happen, but they're really, really making it as easy as possible for us.
And are there any things you can think of that we need to tell doulas that already have been taking TRICARE families and how the billing needs to be wrapped up by a certain point as the transition happens?
So the hard deadline is April 30th for current clients. If you're taking clients after January 1st, that's all going to be TriWest. That's why it's important to get the provider agreement signed and get stuff in. In the past, they have retroactively paid. There's been no solid agreement to do that, but I would assume that it would be the same if you submit it January 1st and your client goes into labor that afternoon. You would still be able to bill for that because your packet is submitted. Um, and you can bill the current company until March 30th, but they want them in as soon as possible. So if you've been holding on to people, I have been holding on to people, until I need to get them in by December 31st. That's going to be the easiest way to ensure that you're going to get paid in a timely manner. Don't hold it until March 30th. And then anything after, so your January clients, they will swap over to TriWest. Same with if you have customer service or claims that have come back that need to be redone, March 30th is going to be the last day that Health Net Federal Services will have customer service for us.
Okay, so if I have a family that is due in February, I've done one prenatal with them right now. I'm going to bill it under the old system.
Yes.
As of January 1st, everything needs to be billed through TriWest, or do I have through April 30th for that particular family?
You will have through April 30th, but I do the new system if you can get it in with the new system, because I think because they're a client prior to, they should fall under that, but they really, really want you to do the new system. And again, since I haven't done it yet, for payment wise, I would really do the new system to be able to ensure everything continuity, as of the first of the year.
Okay, and the new system is called what?
Availity.
Availity. And that starts January 1st.
Yes, you can go ahead and make an account on Availity. The TriWest option is just not going to be available on there until the 1st, hopefully, as
Okay.
of the 1st.
And the reason that, I stopped doing podcasts for the year. I'm not putting out any new ones until February, but the reason we decided to do one more is because I want you guys to have time over the holiday break to get your billing in order, understand what's going on. And if you have extra time, because you've got more childcare or whatever, get everything set up for this new TriWest program so that you're not behind the 8 ball come January 1st, because you've got a little extra time, which is why we're putting it out early.
Yeah, and I know there's been a lot of miscommunication about stuff being swapped over and everything, but this is the information that I received, and I've already gone through it, and my contract will be valid as of the 1st. So I just want people to be able to get this out there and get it going, because I know, holidays is stressful. You want to be paid for your services.
Absolutely. Well, everybody put all your questions in the comments below, and then Lydia and I will get to those, and then we'll create the next video. But I know we're going to have to do a little brief thing on the new billing cycle once Lydia has figured it out. We're going to let her be the test dummy for all of this stuff. We really need to serve more military families. We need to streamline the process so it's easier for all of us. And thank you, Lydia, for spending the time to answer everybody's questions and get the ball rolling on this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to you in our next video. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of the updates. And I will also put the link into the podcast on my website, Birth Education Center, so that you can go straight to those documents and make sure you've got everything going. And we'll see everybody in February.
Good luck.
Thanks for joining us today. And remember, it's your body, your choice, and finding your voice is your power. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us in all the places, and go to birtheducationcenter.com for our blog and more online education classes. And we'll see you next week.